All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Montessori Monster. This is Jacob here, and I thought we'd look at the Montessori bead cabinet. Well, not the whole cabinet, but just one of the chains. So if you have a child, or if you're a teacher of preschoolers, most Montessori preschools have the bead cabinet. In fact, most classrooms do, and that includes the bead chains. So I've got the 5 bead chain out, long chain. There's a short chain. You would want to start with that probably. I'm just kind of giving an overview here. With this, you have tags, and you have the square and the cube that go with it. So also another thing, to be a realistic teacher here, I also often have a little bit of paper and scissors and a pen, because the reality is sometimes we're missing a tag. So I'm going to kind of work on doing this work and sort of explain it more. Cabinet's great. It's great for counting, skip counting. It's of course an introduction to multiplication and eventually division, kind of getting out these tags here. So usually children start with the shorter chains, and they love to try to do the 1,000 chain, and they're pretty good at it. The multiples of 10 are actually pretty easy for even kindergartners. I shouldn't say easy, but doable. And they love it because it's big. But it takes a lot of time and patience and focus and that sort of thing. A common mistake children make with the bead chain is that they often put their first number, in this case it'll be 5, and they generally will know that. They put it at the beginning of the bead chain. They think, well, that's where I'm starting. But it's after you've counted 5 that you place that tag. I don't know how well that's showing up on the screen, but so you put the numbers after you've done the counting for that. So that's a common mistake, because they often get to the end and then they're like, wait, what? And it doesn't work. Now I usually do this on a rug. I'm showing you on a table just as an example. And then when you get to the bigger ring, if your rings are aligned rightly, that should be your square of. So in the case of 5s, we've got 25, and I'm also going to put a square with that, 25. And then I keep going. Children love to do this work together with a friend, but sometimes you want to see how they do independently. You need to know how well they're doing with it. Are they counting every single bead? Like, I've just placed 30. Are they going to go 31, 32, 33, 34, 35? Or do they kind of just know 35? Do they start to see that pattern? So, like I've said with other lessons, this one seems so simple, and it is in a lot of ways, but there's also a lot of nuance and things that you can learn about a child by watching them and sort of helping with it, or the first time you do the lesson. So I'm just moving along. There's 50. Now, when I teach the lesson, I would not do all these. I would just get them started, sort of, especially since if they have any sort of experience with the bead chain. Sometimes children use the bead box, to do things like addition and subtraction and multiplication. And so, this is a great tie-in to all that too. I would space this all out a little bit more. I'm kind of got it tight again for the camera, but you can see hopefully mostly what I'm doing here. or 85, 90. Now, sometimes, like I said with the stamp game, if somebody seems overly confident with this, I might, if I'm helping them or working with them, I might kind of make a little bit of mistake and see if they notice. Okay, like I might put 105. And I've found that usually children do not notice that. And then I have to, oh, wait a minute, kind of do a lot of self-talk. We need to have 100 before we can do 105. And then you just kind of keep on going. 110. I realize a little bit of this is going to be off the camera. 115, 120. Then we get to the square, the cube, but we add the square first to show we're at another square. And then, it's good to show and explain the cube. Now, when they get older, they'll start to see, oh, okay, well, 5 cubed is 125. And, so this cube is actually fully representational. It has 125 beads in it. That's a benefit of using this kind of cube with this work, with the bead chains, as opposed to maybe a wooden block that goes with golden beads that is supposed to show 1,000. This actually has 125 beads to it. I actually had somebody knock over my bead cabinet years ago and broke off a whole bunch of pieces. So the original ones, of course, were glass. And most of the ones you'll see now are plastic. So I'm going to place that cube at the end, putting it a little bit funny so it's on screen. Now, if I came into a number that we didn't have, I would just cut out a little tag and say, let's make a replacement for now until we find it. Might be with the short chain or somewhere else. We could always look there too. And then children need to write these down. That's an important part of the process. They need to write down all these numbers down. Younger children are going to reverse numbers, so you can kind of individualize. If they're a kindergartner or first grader, usually you don't worry about that. You don't want to deter them from writing, so you're not correcting reverse numbers or letters, but in this case, numbers. You maybe want to talk about organization. How do you write on the page? Maybe writing a neat column of these numbers and that sort of thing. And then you also want to sort of support them in trying a diverse number of bead chains. They'll repeat some, and that's okay. But sometimes some children will try to do the same bead chain over and over and over again. Some of that's good because they're working towards sort of mastery of it, but sometimes children will do that just because it's easy for them and they want to get a math work done. So there's nuance there that you want to watch for. You'll know your students, and you'll kind of base things off of that, what you know about them. But that's the kind of thing to look for. Now, when you're putting it away, let's suppose we've written everything. Put everything back, of course, but if your bead chain is made correctly, and sometimes they break and there's issues, the big hoop on the bead chain is what hangs on the hooks on the bead cabinet. So it is difficult for children to hang the bead chains up sometimes, but it's actually a cool part of the process. It's neat to kind of watch. Often older children like to help with that. But that's yet another reason is to not start with too huge of bead chains. If they can't sort of complete the process pretty independently, they're maybe not ready for it. So that's a very quick overview of the bead chain. There are other things we could talk about, but that's a basic idea of how it works. So I hope you enjoy this kind of content, and please let us know by leaving a like or a comment and subscribing and all that sort of thing, so we keep building content on this YouTube channel. Thank you, everybody.